Well, good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, October 6th, and it's about 9 in the morning here. Just got to the farm, and going to be, hopefully, a big day of harvesting soybeans. But first, I have to move the goats. So I've got the chainsaw and my fuel and oil there in the bucket of the M, and I got to do a little equipment shuffling in the pasture and cut a couple of little paths to be able to run the net fencing for the new area that I'm going to put them in. I didn't really anticipate them running out of forage right when I needed to be starting combining. So I can either feed them hay or I can move them to a new spot. And since we have them here to clear brush in the pasture, I'm going to move them to a new spot. And then by the time I'm done with that, it's going to be probably mid-morning and a good time to fuel up the combine, top off some hydraulic oil Dad had to pick up yesterday evening. I couldn't do that yesterday. And then that's it, and we can go in the field and hopefully run all day. Well, I didn't get these goofballs moved. I had more chainsawing to do than I anticipated to try to make some paths around the next place that I'm going to put them. So I got everything prepped, and I had to move some wagons out of the way and stuff too that I didn't want in the enclosure that I'm going to make for them. So it's a little after 10 now, and if I start moving these guys, it'll take me a good 2 hours to move the trailer and to move all the fencing and stuff and get it all set up and re-energized and ready to go. So I just don't want to take the time because it'll put it after lunch when I actually get started combining beans. So they're gonna stay here one more night, feed them hay tonight again. You can see the job they're doing here though. All this buckthorn regrowth and stuff was full of leaves, now it's just sticks. They pretty much nibble everything down to just the branches, and then they'll start girdling stuff, especially the sumac. They seem to girdle the sumac right away. Goats on the farm. Can't say enough good things about them. All right, we're fueling up. So I already did my outside rounds on this field, and I had some combine settings I needed to get fixed. I had a lot of unthreshed pods at first, so I had to close up the concaves a little bit, and also close up the chaffers and the sieves. And now I'm getting a nice clean grain sample. Everything looks much better. But the outside rounds on the field too, there was a lot of small beans in here. Short beans, small pods, so hard to get it threshed well, and hard to know what settings to pick because it was varying back and forth between short beans and dry areas and pretty decent beans where the plants were taller. I'm working on a hopper, but it's going slow, that's for sure. My hope here is that this is actually just our worst field, and then after we get through this, the others will be somewhat better. That might improve the situation. Otherwise, it'll be pretty grim. All right, folks, I just got the wave from Dad. It's lunchtime. Nice thing is the house is right there, so the lunch signal's easy. So we're started. We got a good thing going here. Turn around, you can see I just opened up the middle of the field, so we're gonna work outwards. I like to do that. I like to keep the wobble box side here out in the open because that has a little bit wider skid plate and it runs over more beans. So rather than go back and forth on one track, I like to split the field open and then I go around each section, you know, as the distance gets closer, whatever makes the most sense. So I've got a nice clean sample going here now, which is good. At the bottom of this, there's quite a few pods and stuff because it was really tough to get figured out here. I started with the manual settings, which are usually pretty good, but with the beans being a little smaller, the plants are shorter, you know, the seed itself is smaller in a lot of cases. I found on this machine, and it was true for the 55 as well, once you get the setting right for the given year and conditions, you really don't have to mess with it too much, especially since we don't try to harvest into the nighttime hours. We're not trying to adjust for, you know, increasing dew and stuff like that. So as long as we're going during the day and the conditions stay pretty much the same, you get her set and then just pretty much go from there. Well, lunch is over and was delicious, thanks to Mom. Had a nice cup of coffee. It has now turned into a beautiful day after starting out kind of cloudy. A little chill to the air, but the sun makes it feel warm. Just kind of your classic fall afternoon. So it's time to get this done. Should be able to wrap this field up in pretty short order if everything continues to work well. I want you guys to meet my new camera assistant. His name is Rod. I found Rod hanging around out back. He seemed like he wasn't doing anything, so I offered him a job. Rod is an old step-in post from our livestock days. And this morning I welded a little washer on top, and now Rod can hold my camera with a magnetic mount so that I can do things and you guys can watch and I don't have to be holding the camera. So I think he's going to be a valuable addition to our team. Is almost full, not quite, but enough that it doesn't pay to make another round or try to stuff any more on there, because I don't think we're going to have another full hopper on this field anyway, so might as well unload and keep rolling. So far this field is not yielding very well. As I mentioned, it's probably our driest, sandiest, graveliest field. So as I told Dad at lunchtime, we'll get this one out of the way so we're disappointed. And then the next couple of fields will hopefully be a little bit of an improvement. Well, that's the end of that field. All done. That's what we got out of it. Not quite one wagon load. So not a great yield, but it looks pretty good. Beans are clean. Got to find the silver lining when the production isn't there. Start looking for other good things you can talk about. Oh, they're really clean, at least. Well, like I've said, guys, the production isn't really anything we can take credit or blame for because it just didn't rain all summer. So it's kind of tough to grow anything in abundance when you barely get any moisture for the plants to use. You know, I guess you're gonna find silver linings. It's not muddy. We're not getting stuck. That just didn't gonna happen this fall, so that's always nice. All right, we're on to the next field here. I stopped after unloading my hopper. Stopped by the granary and folded up the auger, which always results in a few spilled beans, so we caught those in a big bucket. Here, I could have left the auger folded out, but I just don't like to on a new field. I like to run with my left side on the edge because I can see a little bit better, and that's where the wobble box is. And the wobble box tends to run over more beans. So I just prefer to fold it up. It's a personal preference thing. This is our next field. This is the one that's weedy around the outside. Dad had some extra glyphosate when we planted corn, so he terminated the rye that was growing with these beans just around the outside of the field a little bit early, and kind of a testament to why it's not a good idea to do that, because the weed pressure came in, and after that in those areas, and it's noticeably worse around the outer perimeter of the field. So we'll have to avoid that scenario in the future here. So my outside passes are going to be a little weedy, but then it's going to open up real nice, and the middle of the field's really clean. We'll see what kind of yield we get. So the last field was 6.3 acres. This one is 6.5. I got under a wagon load on the last field. So we're going to see how this one stacks up, because I suspect this is going to be our best field. This one has consistently pretty good soil. It was in alfalfa 2 years ago, for 5 years before that, and then corn last year as the first year out of the alfalfa rotation. So I'm suspecting that the soil here has a little bit better moisture holding capacity as well. So maybe it did better this past summer. But we won't know until we get into it, and even then we don't have precision yield monitoring, so it's going to be a little bit of a guess, but that's kind of my prediction. So this is interesting too, as we're coming to the end here. You see how short? There's pretty much nothing here. That's because we had winter rye next door, and the rye stole all the available moisture from the beans. It's always kind of amazing to me that the rye, which doesn't seem to have a super extensive root system, was able to rob that much that far into the field. The only nice thing about this, you can see my strip of weeds here from Dad's earlier spraying that I was just telling you about. So the only good thing is we did have a hard frost a few days ago, actually a little over a week ago, I think, which is early for Minnesota, but I'm glad that it hit when it did, because it kind of took the snot out of these weeds here, killed them off, and they're threshing through just fine. The combine's not complaining at all. And if you can believe it, there's some beans in here. You can see just right next door here how much cleaner the rest of that field is. This is a long, skinny field, so it still is a little over 6 acres. It's just not as wide as the one I was on earlier today. Got another full hopper here. First one off of this field. Not too bad. Got my outside rounds done, and I did open it up. Made, what, one full round and half of another one. So 3 passes in the center. So that's not bad. We're definitely yielding better. Beans look better here. Just moisture tested it. 10.7. So that's an improvement too. They start to get too low, it's a disadvantage to take them to the elevator. They're going to weigh a lot less. So you're kind of bringing in fewer bushels if they're not close to 15. Okay, everyone, took a little break for supper. Gonna go for a little while. Got all my lights working on here. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it's weird. I checked these lights yesterday when I was tuning up the combine and they worked, and then when I made my little pass in the field by the driveway last night, then the 4 on the platform there by the ladder didn't work for no reason at all. So that was frustrating. And then when I started the machine up this morning, and I checked them again, then they all came on again. So I can't begin to understand that. I know you can't feel it because this is video, but it is cool and crisp tonight. I think it's supposed to get down maybe just a little below freezing overnight. So it is going to be a classic Minnesota fall night. And it has been a pretty classic Minnesota fall day too. All right, well, I'm going to see if I can get just a couple more passes in to try to get half done. I figured if I could cover 11 acres today, I think we have 22 or 23 acres of beans, that would put me in a pretty good position to be able to finish tomorrow, or if I had to finish on Saturday, it would just be a little bit. And the machine's running good, so we might as well go for it. Well, this is actually pretty darn nice. It's the first time I've ever had to turn the heat on in this combine, and it works, so that's good. And the lights are working. So everything's coming up millhouse. I think what I'm going to do here, because I don't need to be in a big rush, so I think I'm just going to do this strip. You can see kind of out the door there, just the strip that I'm on right now. And if I can get that done, that leaves just a little bit to do tomorrow. And then another about 10 and a half acres. Should be able to wrap that up fairly handily. Well, I have to say, guys, this is pretty darn cool. This is my first experience with running one of these things at night. I think, actually, with the lights working, I think I can see better than when the sun is at a high angle and it's real glaring, you know? It probably doesn't pick it up on camera very well, but I think I can actually kind of see the crop a little bit better than, like I said, in late afternoon when the sun is raking across or there's a shadow from the combine, you know, on the header. Just about done here. One more pass going the other way and I'll have this strip done, and then I'm going to unload and shut it down for the night. Oh man, it is getting chilly out here. See the lights on over at my sister's place there? Right there. Somebody's out doing chores. Well, not the easiest to see, but that's an almost full wagon. Really close. With a little smoothing out on top, actually, it might be full. I can't tell in the dark. We'll have to look at it tomorrow morning. Well, folks, I just got back home to my house in town here after a long day and stepped in the garage here where there's some light just to say I appreciate y'all watching, following along with our little adventure harvesting soybeans today. We'll be back at it again early tomorrow, so hope you all are having a great night, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.